How you guys doing? This is Anthony Ganji, host of Tier Talk, only show on the air dedicated to law enforcement. Don't forget, guys, you can follow us on multiple venues: iHeartRadio, YouTube, Spreaker.com, Player FM. The list is getting bigger and bigger, guys. Don't forget, we also have a YouTube channel now. So please cross over, subscribe to the show, because you get better notification through YouTube. Trust me, and the videos stay up there on the YouTube channel. It's the Tier Talk channel. So when you see the link to the video now, you can go ahead and follow it over, and please subscribe to the show. This way you're notified when we go live. And also little videos that I do from time to time. And don't forget, we go live every Tuesday from the Tier Talk Facebook page. And that's every Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And please download the app. The app is available on iOS and Apple stores. iOS and Android. All right, so you know that this week was a tough week, especially for those in Delaware who lost one of their own. Sergeant, who later obviously is now a lieutenant, Sergeant S. Floyd. We lost him during a riot at the James C. Fawn Correctional Center in Delaware Department of Corrections. And that was a tough loss for us, but we showed love. We showed support. There was a beautiful vigil for him, for his family. And I just want to remind everybody that he was a hero, guys. You know, when he was put into a closet, he gave warning to tell people to go back. So he was willing to put his life on the line for his brothers and sisters, and that's why he got the Valor Award too from his commissioner. But I wrote an article about what to do after a riot, and these are things I believe that are non-negotiable. It's not an exhaustive list. I mean, we can add more to it, but I want to get your thoughts on this. I really do. I want to know what else needs to be done after a riot occurs. So these are my suggestions, and it goes off the article that I have that's been published by Corrections One. You can find it on my page as well as my profile page. But the first thing is, obviously, we know there has to be a lockdown, correct? And the lockdown serves multiple purposes, but we definitely have to lock it down, and we have to kind of take our time and identify the threats, investigate what happened. That's very important. So you got to lock the facility down. But also it reminds the inmates who controls this house. They need that, because it's going to be used as a deterrence to say, hey, you messed up badly. And I know some people, like families, may call and say, you know, our kids or our sons or our husbands or whatever have been locked down for so long. It is what it is. We have to maintain control, and we have to remind them that literally this is our house. This is our house. You guys just live here. Plus, there has to be some form of discipline. If there is no form of discipline, then they're not going to think twice about doing that again. So we have to make sure that when we lock it down hard. And guys, it's being aggressive, but we have to be. There is no choice here. This is non-negotiable. We have to be aggressive. So we lock it down. Again, gives us a chance to identify the problems on just multiple angles. You know, how could this happen? Why did it happen? You know, just go over certain scenarios so we can try to get a better understanding so it doesn't happen again. So that's key. God forbid we lose another life because we did not do what we could do to prevent. Second thing is you got to separate who you think are the threats. That's important. Okay, so right now, the biggest issue with us, or one of the major concerns is corrections, and we talked about is inmate unity, right? You don't really want them unified on a cause, okay, or a cause that they tend to believe is a justified cause. And that's what sucked about what the public was doing the other day. When they were having the riot, there were people in support of that riot. And what they don't realize is that's going to give further justification and motivate the inmates even more, because they believe they're doing it for a cause. And for those that said those horrible comments, look at the outcome. This is the behavior that you supported. Behavior that would be unacceptable on the outside. So why is it acceptable on the inside? It's disgusting. Very disgusting. But having said that, talked about it. We've covered it. But the point is, inmate unity is a problem for us. Most of the time, it's us versus a selected group. It's never everyone. So we need to find out how they became organized, and then how they got united and then became organized. We need to discover that. And people that have a position of influence, and when I say influence, I mean negative influence, we need to separate them. Definitely. And if there are leaders, I would go as far as shipping them out of state. Literally. I don't know if we'll get pushback on that, but that should happen. I would like to say, because of the power of their influence, that we can limit their communications, who they can talk to. But we would get a lot of negative pushback on that. But again, I would like to see that happen, at least for a good amount of time. Doesn't have to be permanent, because I know we have pushback from the public. But because they have influence, because they create a situation like a riot, they need to go in lockdown. They need to be separated from the compound, and we need to remove that sense of influence that they have. And yes, that deals with mail, right? That deals with communications on the phone or with the outside, communication with individuals on the inside, because again, they posed a threat to us, and now a life was lost. But I know there'll be people on the outside, again, pushing for, we're treating them inhumanely. That's not the case, guys. It's not the case. We're trying to establish where the threat was. And those that pose the threat, this is the punishment. Because punish them that way will stop others from doing it. That's the key. See, if they don't fear it, if they don't fear the punishment, then they're going to do it again. So we have to come at them hard, and you should not question that. It's an action that must be done so we can maintain control and to deter future behavior. That's the key, future negative behavior. Now, one thing is, this is why people may want to doubt that corrections is law enforcement. Of course, I'm going to disagree with that. They are law enforcement. And this is the part where our law enforcement background comes into play. We need to have our ears to the ground. We need to listen to everything, exhaust our snitches, just pretty much do our searches, everything that can help us gather intel, okay, just to, either for dealing with the understanding what happened or to prevent it from happening again, because some may probably think that they're heroes. You don't know, because there was some people in the public were saying supporting it, so there probably may be some that may think that they're heroes out of this. It is what it is. It's disgusting. So we need to prevent. So we want to do preventive measures like, as I said, let's get some searches involved. Let's rip up their areas. Let's shake their foundations a little bit. Let's make sure that they don't think they have free reign, right? And let's also let's talk to our snitches. Inmates talk. Not everybody wants to be involved in a riot, guys. So some inmates feel that if there's something brewing, they may say something because they don't want to be involved. And you have to protect the one that says something, of course. And that would be our job. And of course, that's what we would do. But remember, even in this situation, not all inmates may have been responsible for it. So there could have been inmates that knew that could have been exhausted, that we could have went to them and said, hey, listen, what's going on? So work your sources, work your snitches. Also, if you're on the family side of things and you're getting phone calls and you have someone from your family who's an inmate telling you that something's brewing, you got to call administration. You got to call the facility, whoever you got to call, but you got to get that out there. Because there were some phone calls made here that the public should have put out there. Should have called our bosses, let us know something. Because, again, family members may tell you something and they may not tell us. So you got wind of something, please let us know. Please. Because that can help. For management, just want to go back to custody one more time too. Don't get complacent. Don't walk around with your hands in your pockets when you have murderers and rapists all around. You don't do that. Come on, man, don't do that. That's when you're becoming complacent. Keep yourself on your toes. Keep yourself active. Read about what goes on in other facilities, and then go ahead and know, well, that happened there could also happen here. Like the riot in Delaware definitely woke up a lot of people in other facilities. I'm sure they're taking their hands out of their pockets, but let's not wait for that. Let's keep ourselves mindful all the time of the environment. When the moment you start seeing yourself, hands go in the pocket, boom. Take them out. If you're a supervisor, you see your officers doing that, pull their hands out. And even though our job is defined by routine, we could be sporadic within that defined routine. Remember that. Okay? There are certain things that we have to do at set times, yes, but there are certain things that we still have to do, but we can do it sporadically. We don't want to be defined by routine, because the more sporadic we can be in areas that we could be sporadic in, we'll keep the inmates on their toes. Because remember, every time that they implement a plan, they're going to try to implement it based on what they know, which is based on routine, policy, procedures. So we need to find a way. If they're going to circumvent it, we still need to find a way within policy and procedures to kind of be rather random. And it's possible, trust me, it is. But we need that, because we need that to shape their foundation. Okay, if we're routine, they predict the routine, that's how they predict their plans. But if you can't predict my routine, then I'm going to put it this way, I'm the one that you may not do it with because you don't know. But if they can, and you have developed a routine, they're going to utilize you. You'll become part of their plan because you're pretty much a set foundation of the facility because they know exactly what you're doing each and every moment. So try to be sporadic. Okay, now for management. Management, they're removed. They're up in the office there, but even though they're far removed, they are probably most important part of safety here. Okay, for the frontline staff, and I'm going to explain that. First off, you got to make sure your facility is properly staffed, and we know that. That means that you have to listen to the concerns of your officers, okay? Because they'll tell you where, like when you're management, you may look at numbers, but they'll tell you through experience, yeah, the numbers say this, but it'll be better if we had this, and this is why. So you have to at least listen to their justifications as to why they may need people. Okay, we need that. You need to go to frontline and ask them that because numbers on paper don't mean nothing. It's real life experience. So you definitely need them on the front line because again, we're not walking around all day. So we need the front line to come in and tell us where they feel we're lacking. Paperwork says we're good, but you're telling me something different. Why is that? That's very important. Also, you got to make sure, and unfortunately on national level, our equipment, our tools that we're allowed to employ or our tools that we allowed to have are not consistent on a national level. You have to give officers the proper training, right? And we'll get back to training in just a second. But you have to give them the proper tools to employ. This is non-negotiable. They have to be able to defend themselves, stand their grounds, maintain control. If they have nothing, they don't pose a threat to the inmate population. Remember, these are tools that are meant to defend. They're reactionary tools, but they're also preventive measures. Because when inmates see these things, they may think, okay, you know what, I was thinking about doing it, but I don't want to get pepper sprayed again. So not worth it. But if you don't give them that obstacle, if you give them something a little bit more simplistic, they're going to break through it. So you got to give your officers the proper equipment. And that's also, on a more serious note, that's to save their lives. So they can do their job, but also so they can protect themselves. So for any facility not doing that, and an officer gets hurt and the officer can't protect himself, you're at fault. At this point, with all this stuff going on in the world, you're at fault. Pick up a paper, read what's going on, and if you still feel that you shouldn't be protecting your officers, you're at fault. Delaware made international news. The riot in Delaware. So if you still don't think your facility is dangerous and someone gets hurt, I'm blaming you. Because there's no way you don't know about what happened in Delaware. Because if you're a good management, you know. Because then when you went back, you had to address your people to make sure that they're on their toes. Also, as management, that brings us to another point is, see what's going on in other facilities, learn from their failures and successes, and try to bring it to your facility. So we can see that we're all one and the same. It just brings an evolution to corrections, if you will. We learn from the successes and failures of other facilities. And also, if there's an issue at other facilities, to keep your people on their toes, because we do work in an environment that's rather routine and can make us complacent, then educate your staff. Tell them what's going on and keep them on their toes. Say, hey, listen, I know it's been quiet here for a while, but this is what happened yesterday at this facility here. So let's learn from that and let's keep ourselves on our toes. Here's what needs to be done. Okay, and that is very, very important. Also, you want to retrain, retrain on real life scenarios. Scenario based, spend the money, get the training in, and put these officers in real live situations. Put them in there, real life situations. So they understand what it's like as best as they could to go through scenarios like this. So when we learn about what happened in the Delaware riot, we can go ahead and, try to recreate the scenario and then see what we could have done differently. Just so we can try to prevent it from happening again. Okay, so we have to take these stories and we have to learn from these stories. That is key. Okay, that is key. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I'm trying not to, because I wrote the article and I'm trying to make sure that I get all my thoughts out. I believe I covered what I wanted to cover. Again, it's going off the top of my head. But by all means, please add to it. It would mean a great deal. And also, again, subscribe to the Facebook page, please. Subscribe to the Tier Talk page and subscribe to the YouTube channel page, Tier Talk. All right, guys, I love you. My heart goes out to Sergeant Floyd or Lieutenant Floyd and his family, and also our brothers and sisters in the Delaware Department of Corrections. But please, guys, don't let his death go in vain. He protected us. Let's keep that road going. Let's learn from this so he can keep on protecting us. That's the key. All right, guys. Love you guys.